see your name up there, know that this is your special month. So lots of Rotarians up there. On the flip side, we also have May anniversaries. And I think that this is always nice because if you've forgotten your anniversary, this is a nice reminder, especially if your anniversary is at the end of the month, because then you don't have to worry so much about being late. So happy anniversary to all of our Rotarians. As we move forward, we also want to give a shout out to everybody who is a Rotarian and a member of the Rotary Club of Ames. So thank you for your membership and your dedication. Special call out to a couple folks up there on the screen. We've got Carl all the way from 7 years to Rich Johansson all the way to 31 years and folks in between. So thank you for your membership, and you are important, and I hope we get to see each other face to face at some point soon. I have one announcement from Jim about our Tedesco learning environment. He suggests if you need fresh air, that it's a great place to go take a walk at the Tedesco Park. So as you know, we planted trees in 2019, nearly 100 trees and shrubs. Those are not it that are on the screen now, but keep in mind we've been fortunate that Mother Nature has helped us water those trees. My husband and I and my daughter took a walk not too long ago, and it's a beautiful place, and there's a lot of new things. If you haven't been out there lately, there's new park benches, new viewing areas. The things are growing. It looks very impressive. The walkways, the observation deck. Can't get over the fresh air itself. It's one of the, I would say in my estimation, probably the one of the less traveled environmental spots that we have right now. So if you are going to other parks around town and feeling like you can't keep that social distance of 6 feet, I encourage you to run out to Tedesco, because it's very, very easy to keep the 6 feet, and it's actually beautiful, and it's really nice to see the trees and the shrubs. My husband had to actually point out the ones that we planted, but it was really fun to be there. We have a very special guest. Actually, we've got a couple. So we've got, I saw Steve. I don't see you right now, but I saw Steve, our incoming District 6000 governor is on the call. And we have a very special guest in that our current District 6000 governor is on the call. So Irna is going to say a few words to us to keep us motivated and connected to Rotary International as well as District 6000. So I'm Irna, I'm going to mute my mic and let you go ahead.
And for sure.
Thank you, President Jean. Really appreciate the opportunity here to welcome everybody. And I don't think your club needs a motivational speaker. I am totally in awe when I received the check last week, and I want to thank every one of you in the Ames Club for your contribution, as well as the club, to the food bank, to the project. It's the biggest check I received, and I almost fell out of my chair. So thank you so much. It's going to do a world of good. I can guarantee you that. When I started my year, one of the focuses was the food insecurity, and all the clubs in the district took that to heart, and they have been very generous in the support of their local food pantries and around the world. But we didn't know that we would quadruple the need as a result of the pandemic. And due to COVID, so many of our Iowa families are having a very challenging time. You probably even know some people that either lost their job, or maybe they have COVID, or they had to close their business. It's very, very challenging. And we felt that as Rotarians, we really needed to step up. And when we found out that we could apply for the disaster grant, we immediately put in our grant application with Rotary International. We have not received any of the funding. I think they may be a little low on their funds, and we keep hoping that we will qualify. Well, we do qualify, but that we will get it is another story. But we also begun raising funds from our clubs and individual Rotarians. Steve and I, my husband Steve and I kind of set an example. We started with a $3,000 donation, not knowing how generous Rotarians are. And it has been overwhelming. The clubs and individuals have stepped up, and I'm happy to report that as of today, although today I didn't check my mail yet. So as of this weekend, we are at $37,000 raised from just clubs and individuals. And your generosity is obviously a big part of that. So we will get the funds soon to Michelle Book, the CEO of the Food Bank of Iowa, who's a Rotarian of the Des Moines Rotary Club. And she will see to it that it will distributed among all the food pantries in our district area, according to a formula they use when they use the contributions for the state. So I have to believe that Michelle's heart is in the right place as a Rotarian, and truly believe that it will go to those that need it most. So again, thank you so much for all your contributions there. Really appreciate it. Want to quickly touch on the festival. You may have read the newsletter. We had to cancel the festival due to Prairie Meadows being closed, and we cannot have large events. So, but we still are going to do something. So we're going to do some virtual meetings. We would like to celebrate the successes of the clubs. We do like to do the gavel passing from the president and president-elects, make that a festive event, not at Prairie Meadows. It's going to be virtual. It's going to be on June 26th, probably around 4:30 or so. And we're working out details for that. We also will do an in memoriam. We'll make that available to all the clubs so they can have like a presentation at their club sometime in June. And also we will do awards. Awards is what we will also, we're working on how we are going to do that. I mean, this all came up and we're still trying to figure out what the best way is, but it is coming. So I hope you bear with me with that. We need help and we need your support as well. I also want to congratulate you on what you've been doing. I mean, I saw that you got a grant, a global grant, so wonderful. I'm so excited for you. And also what you're doing with your Zoom meetings. I think you had a mayor at your first Zoom meeting as one of the speakers. So, wow, you're really, you're doing well. And like I see now, 66 participants, great success. I wish that you could share the magic formula, because not all clubs are having that success. Some of them do, and some of them just don't have as many people participate. So we're trying to encourage that, and we hope that they will all do it, because for a while we probably won't be meeting in person. So again, President Jean, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak here. I was going to write a letter of thanks. I probably still will do that, but this opportunity was nice to thank every one of you. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you. I'll give it back to you, President.
All right, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for helping us work on food insecurity in District 6000. I know from wearing my hat with United Way of Story County that hunger is always an issue in our community, and it's just been magnified because of COVID-19. Just to remind everybody that our club did raise a little over that, the 5,000, and with the match, it was about a little over 10,000. I reported last week that we were able to forward on to the district governor so that she could include that with the gift that went to the Food Bank of Iowa. And for us in Story County, we have about 6 school food pantries. And those school pantries do not have to actually purchase food from the food bank. So we know that it will come back to Story County in significant ways. So thank you so much for being that leadership. And it's just, I know none of us expected to be looking into little squares on our computer way here in the middle of May. Just to give everybody an update, we are talking and working with Gateway Hotel and Conference Center on possibly coming back in some way, shape, or form. That's not been decided for sure, so we will keep you updated. But in the meantime, I really, really do love seeing your faces on the screen. So it's a great way to connect. And if you know Rotarians in our club that you haven't seen at one of our meetings, our Zoom meetings, please, if you either let me know or Karen know, or if you know them in particular, to reach out to them. Because even if they can't connect on the screen, they can certainly connect by telephone, and they can at least hear all the good wishes and the beautiful songs. So thank you all for being here. I am going to turn it over just like I would if I were standing at the lectern. I'm going to turn it over to Chad, and he is going to introduce our program today. So I am going to mute myself.
Thank you, President Jean. Yeah, we have a couple of very familiar faces today that are going to share with us. We're excited that Andrea Hammes-Dodge and Dan Culhane both are going to give us an update on the Chamber response to the COVID crisis and other things. And just for a proper introduction, Andrea has been with the Chamber since 2017, and she's actually Vice President with the Chamber. She oversees communications, investor relations, and events. She actually gets to promote Ames and Story County as the best place to live, work, and do business. And she also creates programming to support the local business community. In the past, she's actually been involved with communications and fundraising with Mary Greeley and the ISU Foundation. Currently, she's a proud member of the Boys and Girls Club Story County Board of Directors, and her husband, Justin, are lifelong Cyclone fans, and they enjoy living near Jack Trice Stadium as well. And then Dan Culhane, who also needs not much of an introduction because you all know him very well. He is the CEO of the Ames Chamber of Commerce. And actually, amazingly, that's not just a chamber, that's a chamber and 9 organizations total and 16 people that he gets to oversee. And he is also a graduate of Iowa State University for his undergraduate degree, but he also went to the University of Oklahoma's Economic Development Institute and graduated from there in 1998. And then also, it looks like as a lifelong learner, he actually earned his Certified Economic Developer designation in 2000. And then in 2011, the Chamber Industry's highest designation, which was a Certified Chamber Executive. He's been a champion of our community and the business community. He's also involved in many other things, and recruitment of many businesses and expansions to the ISU Research Park and the Ames and the Story County communities. Dan is married to Stacy. They live in Ames. He has 2 daughters, Maggie, who is a junior at Iowa State University, and Katie, who's a recent graduate of ISU, who works and now resides in Chicago. And so, again, as a member of the business community here in Ames, it's been refreshing just to see them lead us through this pandemic, and it's refreshing to see the strength in leadership and how they've rallied people together. So it's an asset to have them in our community and have them in our club, and we just thank them here for setting aside some time to give us an update. So now I am also going to mute myself, and I'll let them coordinate how they're going to present to us jointly. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chad, for that kind introduction. Andrea and I are pleased to be here. Andrea is going to share her screen here momentarily with a presentation that we'll run through. I'm going to kick us off, and Andrea will land the plane for us. Really, it's a great pleasure to be with the Rotary Club. Been a member for since I came to Ames, and it's always fun coming back to the speaking side of the table to share with you some things that are going on. You know, when this thing kicked off, really for our community about 8 weeks ago, this is going on our 9th week, I told my team at the time, I said, listen, I said, if our members in our community don't need us in the throes of this and the heights of this, they will never need us on the backside. And so we've worked tirelessly, along with a whole host of others throughout the Story County community, to try and be helpful and supportive throughout this pandemic. And so we'll start first and foremost, as I think about headlines for COVID-19 as it relates to Story County, we could all write that page, right? We've all got experiences, either personally or neighbors or in business or a wide variety of venues where we could all write the headline for COVID-19 as it related to our community. Historically, Ames has been a little bit immune to national crises and different things, depressions in the economy and things of that nature. And as we know, this pandemic has shown has spared no one, I should say. We've seen the resource preservation throughout our business community in a big way. We've seen layoffs. We've seen reduced hours to keep from laying people off. And we've also seen in some instances elimination of full-time positions. The Chamber of Commerce, we are not immune to that. We've weathered some of that as well in a operation to preserve resources, because we don't know what our customers, our paying customers, if you will do on the backside of this. We're taking precautionary measures as well. And speaking of precautionary measures, I should have started by saying that we are back to, our entire team is back at the Chamber at 304 Main Street. They all came back a week ago with a wide variety of precautions in place to protect ourselves, but also protect any customers that would walk through our door. I felt it was important when this started a little over 8 weeks ago that the Chamber of Commerce remain open at some level. I thought we needed to provide an example to the rest of the business community that being open at some level was important. And so Amy Howard, most of you probably know Amy, and Melissa Gillen and myself were the three in this 12,500 square foot building for 7 weeks. It was really great a week ago today to have the rest of our team come back. And again, we've got good separation here. We've got our own offices. There's plenty of space. We're wearing masks when we interact with one another throughout the building. There's plenty of hand sanitizer and sanitizing wipes. And so we've taken every measure we could to protect our team, but also protect our end users. And so the result of the pandemic has been felt here at the Chamber as well. At the same time, we know a number of our businesses, and we've talked to just about every business in Story County throughout this process. We also know the mandated closures have been challenging. And I'm proud of all of you and the rest of the Ames and Story County community. I think people have worked very hard to support our restaurant industry in particular through curbside services. But as we all know, a restaurant can only do so much when their dining room is empty. And so those closures have been challenging, to say the least. And the impact, media will call me and say, what's the economic impact of all of this? And we really don't know yet. We know it's going to be significant. We know it'll be hurtful to a number of businesses. But at the same time, we're talking to a number of our customers, a number of our companies here in Story County that are as busy as ever. It's really business as usual, and they feel very fortunate to be in that position. Where we provided a lot of counsel and I guess wisdom, if you will, borrowed wisdom that is, with the reopening of some things here in Story County a week ago this past Friday. As you might imagine, we had a lot of businesses call us and say, we need to reopen. Our cash register really needs to ring again soon, but we also want to be mindful of any backlash that could result from the public in thinking that we're reopening too soon. And so we saw a mix of businesses say, yes, we're going to open for restricted hours, and others said, we're going to wait another 2 weeks till the 15th of May. In either case, the businesses that have reopened, our advice to them was to post their hours in advance of opening, maybe restrict their hours a little bit, reduce their hours a little bit upon reopening, and make it very clear how they're putting precautionary measures in place to protect their customers as well as the people that work for them. And I think opening weekend a week ago was relatively good for those that did choose to reopen. I think the biggest loser, if you will, right now has been the hotel industry and the hospitality industry. And you could lump the restaurants in with that as well. but the hotels in particular, according to the Ames Convention and Visitors Bureau, as of last Thursday, our hotels had lost a combined $3.7 million in revenues over the previous 7.5 weeks. What will be more staggering is the data that comes out this week. As we know, with graduation having occurred this past weekend, the impact of ISU graduation is enormous and very positive for our community as it relates to hotels and our restaurants and all those things that people come to town to celebrate their children graduating from our university. And that didn't happen. And as a result, we'll see some significant numbers again, I believe, after this week. So that $3.7 million was for that combined period of time. I would expect that to jump significantly as we get the data this week. Like most things, like most bad situations, considerable good comes too. And I got to say, I'm really, really excited to live in this community and work in this community. The community leaders have done exactly what we needed them to do. They've led. Brian Dieter and Andrew Perry, primarily from our medical community, Mayor John Hala, Steve Shanker, President Winterstein. All those people have been front and center, and they've stood tall and been heard throughout this process, and that's critically important. And I'm not saying this because Gene's our chair this year of the Rotary Club, but the United Way has worked tirelessly. We've always known that organization to be a tremendous resource, and they've stood tall too throughout this process, along with a whole host of our various nonprofits that support our community and those in need. I've been impressed by the numerous stories of giving. And I could list businesses that have written checks for a wide variety of things, but I know individuals have done that too. And it's really impressive to see how people are responding to our food banks, the needs of United Way, and a wide variety of other asks that have occurred throughout this process. Needless to say, we've always known Ames and Story County to be a very generous and philanthropic community. And once again, Ames has shown really, really well throughout this process. I think the good that has come from government, in particular our state and federal government, has been how quickly they responded with aid, with financial packages. And it would be easy to say, well, I know someone who didn't get money, and we do too, but by and large, they responded quickly. And I think that's something that was certainly helpful to our businesses. But the longer this goes, I know our governments, state or federal, can't continue to dole out money. And so that's why I hope, and frankly, folks, I pray every day that every day I wake up, we're one day closer to the end of this, because we need this to end, not only for our community and our people, but for the greater good. One neat thing, though, about some of the state programs and federal programs was the Iowa Small Business Relief Fund. And you've probably heard about that in the news. There was some criticism here about a week ago about how certain businesses weren't funded and others were. And there's always a good and bad to everything, it seems. But here in Story County, we had to date, we've had 98 businesses receive Iowa Small Business Relief funding for a total of $1.936 million. So almost $20,000 per business has been plowed back into Story County businesses from the Iowa Small Business Relief Fund. I'd also mention that in spite of a lot of the bad news we're seeing, we continue to operate on the economic development side of our business too. We've got two companies that you all know well that will be announcing expansions of significance here in the next 3 to 6 months. On top of that, if you pay attention at all to local media, you might have seen here a few weeks ago, Amcor, formerly Ball. Most people would remember Ball containers or Ball plastics. Amcor announced a significant expansion, adding significant jobs and significant capital investment. And frankly, I think that's what we need to continue to be preaching about, is a lot of the good that's still going on in spite of this horrible, horrible public health crisis that we are all enduring. And then finally, I as we put this together this morning, I said, from the Ames Chamber of Commerce standpoint, I'm not certain we've ever worked harder I'm really, really proud of Andrea and the rest of our team that has done such good work throughout this process. It's hard to know sometimes, as we all know, going through this for the first time, it's hard to know what to do. But we've tried to stay in front of our members, our business community, and really the greater community, because while we're a membership organization, we're also about greater good for Ames and Story County. We need this entire place to thrive and be successful. And if we can play a hand in that, we're sure willing to do that. And so we really have worked tirelessly, along with a whole host of other people, to try and manage this process as best we can. So I'm going to stop there. Andrea and I will gladly take questions when she concludes, but I'm going to turn it over to my counterpart, Andrea. I think.
There we go. Sorry, guys, my mute button wasn't working, or my unmute button wasn't working. So I'm Andrea. Thanks everybody again for joining us today. Like I said earlier, or Chad mentioned earlier, I oversee our communications and events and programming. So when this all happened, we had to do a lot of pivoting and throwing a lot of plans out the window and coming up with brand new things for us. And so it's as a team, it's been really, really fun to come together in that respect and really have an impact on our community. So first, our communication and outreach. First, one of the initial things we did is started a resource page on our website just to start. At that point, things were coming out quickly. Like every day, we had multiple news releases, things happening. It was just such an ever-changing, in motion kind of situation. And so we really want to make sure we had one spot where all of our members could go to get information. And so we worked really hard to build that out. And so we still have that updated. We have lots of great resources for different videos, different links for employers, for employees, for the community, health related, any little bit of everything on that page. And we also started doing, we have our weekly email. We added another email. So we're doing twice a week right now, as long as we feel like we have enough information to keep sharing twice a week. We also started doing some videos. They were coined kitchen coverage, but they were filmed from my kitchen when I was working from home. I was interviewing a series of leaders from the community. So Jean was one of my interviews. So thank you, Jean. It was just kind of a great way to get some insight from some of our leaders on what was happening in their worlds while things were changing so drastically for all of us. And so we have a series of those on our website and our YouTube channel. I encourage you to check out. We also did a member survey. We thought it was really important to contact our businesses and hear from them what their pain points really are. We can sit here and think we know, but we don't know until they tell us. And so we got some really great responses from that. And through that, we were able then to adjust our programming even more so, and making sure that we get the right topics for our virtual events, which I'll talk about in a minute. And we created some new programs as well for our small businesses because of that survey. And then recently we had a roundtable call with our restaurant owners when they were really nervous about opening up. And so we decided to create a poster that we now have been giving out to all of our restaurants in Story County. We're working on it, finishing up that this week. And it's a pledge basically of that this restaurant is adhering to the Iowa Restaurant Association standards, and that they are doing everything that they can to keep their customers and their employees safe. And at the same time, they're asking anybody who's coming into their doors to respect the employees in the space as well. And to remind them that if they're not feeling well, please don't come inside to dine. And then we did launch hashtag Story County Strong. So we've been doing that for several weeks now. And I've included a little plug there for the challenge. We'd love for you guys to take pictures and use a hashtag on social media of how you, or maybe your neighbors, your colleagues, are staying Story County strong throughout this time period. That could be making signs, it could be delivering food for your neighbors, making face masks for the hospital. There's lots of great things that are happening right now. as Dan kind of mentioned, there's been a lot of good that's been happening too, and we want to be able to highlight that. And by capturing with hashtag Story County Strong, we'll then be able to capture all these great stories and photos and videos, and we'll be able to we have plans to do something really cool with that at the end of the year for our annual event. And so we're really looking forward to getting through this time period and coming out stronger than ever as a whole community. So with our events, we had a lot of in-person events planned, and we pivoted quickly and realizing we needed to do virtual. People still wanted content and access to information, and so we just started practicing. We started trying, and so we learned something new, I think, every single time we do this. But our Business Builder series became virtual, and so that's been great. We've been having, I think, on average about one a week, and those have been free. So they're for our members, but because we have sponsors for this program, we're able to offer it free to our community during this time. And so really, again, one of those ways we're opening it up to all businesses in Story County. And we also started a new series on Facebook Live, Innovative Solution Series. And so over the past few weeks, I've been interviewing business owners. These are chamber members, and learning a little bit about the insights from when they learned that they were going to be closing or drastically changing their work plan. What was going through their mind? You know, there's a lot of weight laying on their shoulders, and they've been willing to share that with us, and so we've been sharing that with you guys. And so look for more of those to come. We have another one tomorrow with Littlewoods Herbs and Teas, and we have on Wednesday Success Gymnastics. So we have a wide range of businesses that we're featuring. We just did virtual networking last week. Our coffee mingle we took to Zoom, and we had a great success. It was fun to see everybody again. We did breakout rooms, so we had large group conversation and we had small group conversation, and I think that was really good. And we're looking forward to, we got lots of great reviews on that, and we're looking forward to hosting more of those. Still, networking is still important to our businesses, even through this, and so we're going to continue trying to find ways that we can support them. And then some of our events we've gone to virtual. We have a new event coming up. We just announced on Friday, so this is brand new. May 28th, we're doing a town hall event, and it's all about recovery. It's about that we are in this economy now. We're unsure where things are going, but we have to move forward. And so we have some really great leaders, statewide leaders, who are joining us for this town hall event, and will give us some great insights and looking ahead to where we're going. One thing you may remember we did pretty soon, like I think it must have been in April now, we did the gift card program, and it was just a tremendous success. And I want to say thank you to so many of you who supported it as sponsors, as donors. Many of you guys bought them and gave them to your employees. Just lots of great things that were happening as a result of this. We had over 100 businesses had gift cards sold on their behalf, and over 3,700 gift cards sold. And we gave out, in all, then we had $107,000 given back into our Story County business community because of this program. And just an incredible influx of cash for our businesses when they needed it, when their doors were closed. We couldn't have done it without our sponsors. So Fairway was our presenting sponsor on this, and it just, the generosity of the community again is just outstanding. So thank you all for that. And then our events, we'd still do a lot of events, and so we're trying to decide what we can do with what we have. So we're keeping what we can, but we're doing virtual when we need to. We have, like I mentioned, that recovery town hall. We're also going to be doing a cybersecurity town hall. We're going to do virtual. Maybe announcing that here soon. Golf day, a little hard to do virtual, so we are keeping that on the calendar. It's the end of June, so we're really hopeful that by then we have some. We know a lot more that we have a pretty safe environment around us. It's a little bit easier to do social distancing when you're out on the golf course. Of course, we'll still take precautions, but we're excited to get everybody back together. It should be just a fun event, a fun way to reconnect with everybody. And then we did postpone LeaderCast. It should have been at the end of this month, and we just decided there were too many unknowns. We don't know when we're going to be able to have a large group of people back together again in this community. And so we just decided to go ahead and make the smart choice and postpone that. Ames Main Street, downtown Ames is having similar issues right now of driven, especially in the summer. And we're trying not to cancel what we can, and we're trying to get creative. So on the second Thursdays of the month, we have Discover Downtown, and we're going to be promoting we want each of our businesses to come up with specials and different fun things and activities in their shops, and we'll promote all of them to try to get people to come downtown and visit, whether in person or virtually. We have the 4th of July parade, of course. That's an unknown. We're waiting. We have city council coming up here to see what some of the event cancellations may not be. And then we also have sidewalk sales, which, it's usually in July. And so, we think our businesses are really going to need this. So we're excited to be able to still offer those and bring, hopefully, people down to downtown Ames to shop. Then we had Art Walk. Well, so we actually had Music Walk, which was canceled and rolled into Art Walk. And then Art Walk was supposed to be the first week of June. And we just didn't feel like it was safe. We didn't feel like we could have all of our musicians and artists in our downtown businesses with all the shoppers. We thought it was too tight at this point. So we decided to go ahead and postpone it. So that will be in August 20th, and that will be part of the week of welcome for the Iowa State University students. So we're excited to be able to bring our students downtown and really showcase all the great things we have to offer. A lot of times students go to campus town and they stay in their dorms and they don't really go venture outside of that. So we're excited to give them a great activity to shop downtown. And then August 22nd, we have Ames Velo bicycle races are going to be back. And so we're excited. We're working on an event to tag in with that to try to, they bring a lot of people downtown, and it's also, right when school's starting. So we're hopeful that we can have a great outing there for some live music and some, beverages and games, and just have a nice fun street party is what we're thinking. So stay tuned. Hopefully all of those get to happen, but we'll just keep taking it day by day.
Okay, thanks, Andrea. We'll open it up for questions or comments at this point in time. I can tell you the things that Andrea outlined, so much of those things are revenue generators for a wide variety of our organizations. And so that's where, we continue to do economic modeling too, to make sure that we can continue to pay our rent and do those sorts of things.
Okay.
Jean, back to you.
Yep, it's going to be a little bit challenging to have questions unless you raise your hand, but I do have one starter question from Jeff Johnson. He wanted to know if the chamber has put together or is thinking of putting together a tips page for small, medium, or larger size businesses and things to know as far as reopening and things like that.
You want to take a stab at that, Andrea, or should I?
I can go.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I can. Yes. So yes, Jeff, we are. We're putting together a quick guide right now, a reopening quick guide for our businesses. And it's just really a compilation of a lot of great tips from some general sources. Putting all together, we're going to be delivering that out to our businesses later this week. We also still have a lot of resources on our webpage that are more tailored to the size of business you might be in. And so we also have a small business technical assistance program that was created out of that member survey. So many of the members needed additional help. And so we have a free service. Any business can call us up and sign up for this, and they'll have a one-on-one conversation with one of our members of our business development team. And it's an hour-long Zoom call. And our team will then help you, talk about where you are now, what your concerns are maybe for the future, and start helping you get resources and connections to help you to reopen and whatever your plans may be.
Thank you. I was just impressed with the fact that you guys are already back. And I think one of the big questions or tips that most of us are going to need help in is how to resolve the mental piece of your own staff coming back into the work environment. So any tip information that you guys can provide would be welcomed. I think as you do, if you don't even continue your kitchen piece, that may transition into going out, talking to businesses about how they work with their staff on returning to the workplace. So thank you again for your efforts in that arena.
Well,
Jeff.
Jeff, I'll jump in. You know, I think that as I brought people back a week ago, I was anticipating maybe some pushback of, hey, I'm not ready yet. And if people had not been ready, we would have probably made some additional considerations, given that we plowed through a lot of really good work while people were working from home. You know, and so I think a lot of businesses have found that they can be effective working remotely. And so we kept that in mind. But I think what really helped us was everybody, we're not so big that we don't know one another. We all know each other pretty well, and respect each other's boundaries and wear the masks. And you see people actually spraying the bleach water on surfaces after they've been in the kitchenette area and things like that. And so we've been really sensitive, I think, and very cautious in bringing people back to work.
I thought you were going to say they were drinking the bleach.
So one of the things I know that I took advantage of was meeting with Dustin on the one-on-one, what to think about as far as opening up. So we've been working remotely, and that was very helpful just to kind of talk through some of the things that we need to remember as a small business. And I think that was really helpful as well. George, I see that you unmuted yourself. I assume you have a question.
Yes, I do. For Dan. Dan, you spoke about the Iowa Business Relief Fund and that 98 businesses received an average of $20,000. I've heard from a couple of people who own businesses on Main Street that they applied and did not get it. And they also, and this might be misinformation, heard that some of the larger companies got most of the money. Is there any truth to that? Second part of this question is, will Iowa put out another round of these grants?
Sure. Thanks for the question, George. So I'll answer the back part of that first. I don't anticipate any additional money coming out of the state. I can tell you that the vast majority of the businesses that applied for Iowa Small Business Relief Funding did get something. That doesn't mean everybody got something. I'd also add that if you think about what's a big business, let's say the Sigler Company or Barilla or BASF, those companies were not eligible to apply for the Iowa Small Business Relief Program. What the state was really looking for was businesses that were going to be impacted immediately. And so that's where you saw, if you look at the list, there's a whole host of restaurants from Story County. There's a number of fitness facilities and places for yoga, things like that all received assistance. A number of our small, more boutique-like retailers received funding as well. And you know, as Debbie Durham, the director of the State Department of Economic Development, told the media, and she's told me on a number of occasions, they knew this wouldn't be perfect, but they were trying to help as many people as they could, as quickly as they could, with some of these dollars. And so I think the bigger challenge is, you know, $20,000 sounds like a lot of money, but when you're running a business, that doesn't take care of much for very long. And so it was really intended to be a stopgap between the time this hit and the time the federal dollars came into place. So that's where you see the Paycheck Protection Program, the Economic Impact, Economic Injury, Disaster Loan Program, EIDL, you'll see it in the paper that way. Those programs are really intended for any and all businesses, except the chamber, because we're a 501c6, so we don't get thrown into that. But the vast majority of our businesses that did apply, in fact, I think almost all the businesses I know of that did apply for federal funding have received something. So you're right, not perfect by any stretch, but helped an awful lot of folks at the same time. Thank you.
All right. I can't see everybody at one time, but if there are other questions. Oh, go ahead, Warren. I did see you.
Dan, increased confidence levels of going out and engaging in the business community probably will go up if there's increased testing of people. Is there any coordinated effort by the chamber or the statewide chamber groups to really encourage broadening, who can be tested, to get a better understanding of kind of where this is, a community like Ames with students coming back and all the sort of external people that move around. Seems to me that's an element that would be helpful. I don't know what role you're playing in that, if any.
So that's a good question, Warren. Actually, I called the governor's office last week and said, hey, I know we're not a hot spot, and that's where the testing sites are going. But I said, we would appreciate some level of consideration as this thing moves on, because we hope to have 30-some thousand students coming back in the latter part of the summer. And so we want to be as prepared as we can be as a community. So the Iowa Chamber Alliance, the state's largest chambers, of which we're a member, we've been talking collectively about that. But again, it goes back to Cedar Rapids and Sioux City and Des Moines are hotspots right now. Of course, one of the Cedar Falls is as well. But we are not classified at that level at this point. And so we probably do get less consideration. I do know that our caseload has gone up, and this is what I'm hearing from our medical community, because our testing has increased significantly in the last week. And so I guess that's good. We've got more testing, and we'll have a better handle on where things are. As it relates to consumer confidence, I was joking, half joking with one of our medical community leaders when I said a few weeks ago, I said, it would be helpful if people remember that the reason we sheltered in place or stayed home or sent people home was to reduce the impact and the heft on the infrastructure of our medical services, and that has worked. But never did they suggest that we stay home so we didn't get this. People are going to get this, as harsh as that reality is. People are going to get this, but we can mitigate a lot of those things by protecting ourselves and being mindful and being smart about who goes out. If you're vulnerable, you probably shouldn't go out. If you are not vulnerable, you should still take precautions to protect yourself, but also protect others around you, because as we've heard time and again, we don't know who's carrying this and who's immune, but is still carrying the virus. And so at some point, I would hope that consumer confidence would increase to a level where our businesses are starting to see a positive cash flow, because right now they are not.
Okay, I'm looking through the masses of the different pages of 66 folks. There's lots of folks that aren't on the screen, but if there are other questions, I'll let you go ahead and unmute your mic and ask that now. Kind of waiting a little bit. So not seeing any. I think that, oh, wait, Ann Campbell. I saw you, you're in the middle of my screen. Go ahead, Ann, unmute your mic or can we do it, Karen, for her? Hang on, Ann.
Okay.
You're unmuted.
One of the things that I'm unmuted. Am I not?
You're unmuted. You're fine.
Oh,
you're fine.
Good.
You're good. Now you're muted. Karen, can you unmute her? Hang on, Ann. Can you? Okay, you're. Oh, nope. You got to be careful how you touch it, Ann, because it's pretty sensitive. You're muted again. Now you're good.
okay.
Right.
I find living in an area where there are still a lot of students around living in neighborhoods that there's confusion about just what the guidelines are that have come since things have been done incrementally in this state in terms of shutting down and then incrementally in terms of reopening. I think it would be helpful, or have you considered if there could be a kind of a published guideline? This is what we can enforce, this is what we cannot, this is what the expectations are.
Well, that's probably a good idea, and given the mix of demographics in our community, and I was talking to Steve Shanker this morning. He said they got a call over the weekend. There was a bunch of people playing basketball, and he said, we're not going to arrest people. We can't arrest people for that, but we can encourage them to disperse. That is a challenge especially in our community. And I've talked to my counterpart in Waterloo, Cedar Falls. Cedar Falls is the same way. Iowa City is the same way, where they've got people that probably feel a little bit invincible and don't feel like they have to adhere to some of these things. I was going to say, you made the comment about they weren't aware, and what came to mind was maybe a level of ignorance. I think there is some of that too, that there's ignorance and lack of understanding how, while you may be young and not get affected by this, you can certainly affect others. And so it reminds me of something that someone shared with me this morning, and we'll end on that unless there's another question. But it talked about how we're hearing a lot about, we're in this together, we're all in this boat together, and at the end of the day, we're in this storm together. This pandemic is a storm, and we are certainly all in that together, but we're in different boats, and some of us are in boats that have a family member who is at high risk or has had the illness, or has lost a loved one as a result of this, or lost a job. And others have had no impact like that, but are also being mindful of what this is like. And so I think that's where Rotary, United Way, the Chamber of Commerce, we can all be mindful of how this impacts people differently. And so while we are collectively in this storm, we are certainly in different boats. And we want to get through this as quickly as we can, but we need to take it one day at a time. And as I continue to tell myself every day, as I get out of bed, I'm one day closer to this being over with. And so hopefully it'll be over soon. We'll resume some level of normalcy, and we'll all be around those tables at the Gateway Hotel and Conference Center. Thanks for having us today.
Thank you, Dan and Andrea, for giving us another perspective of what it's like to be Story County strong. You are leading by example. I admire you. I thank you. And I appreciate everything you and the Chamber members have been doing remotely, and for those of you who sheltered in place right down there on Main Street. So thank you for all of that work. We are in this together. We are Story County strong. We'll continue to be Story County strong for long after this pandemic is part of our history and not our present. So working on that is very important. At this point in time, we'd have you sign the back of a book, but that's not going to happen. So we'll catch you up later on the signing of the book. I want to remind all of my fellow Rotarians that, we do have one chat. We will, yes. Exactly what I was going to say, Chad. He just sent me a note. Next week, we have President Wendy Winterstein at our table. So I hope that we'll have a full roster of Rotarians to hear things from the perspective of Iowa State University. I know that the city, the chamber, the county, the emergency management program have all been part of the discussion long before this happened 8-9 weeks ago. They were meeting and talking already way back in January. So it'll be nice to see Wendy again, but also hear from her how Iowa State is weathering the storm and how we can be supportive of Iowa State, the faculty, the students, and all of the staff as well. I wanted to remind all of the Rotarians, I see your faces and I appreciate seeing you all, but if there is anything that you need individually or a family member needs, please, please, please reach out to Karen or myself. As I've said before, we have a team of Rotarians ready to step up and serve and say, we're here for you. So if you just need a phone call or a grocery run or anything like that, we would be happy to help. And we're there to serve you as well. So don't forget that. I want to thank all of the Rotarians for making it possible to have the gift to the Food Bank of Iowa. So thank you, and thank you to the District 6000 and Irna, our district governor, for leading that charge with everybody. I think that's everything on my list. I'm going to do my quote, Karen, and then we'll do the four-way test. But my quote for today is, character cannot be developed in ease and quiet, Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. Helen Keller. So you don't need to unmute your mics, but if you would please, as soon as she gets it up here, join me in the 4-way test. There's a little history. I won't read that to you. But in everything that we think, say, or do. Next slide, Karen. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Everything I heard today, we're hitting the 4-way test right on the gong. So with that, I adjourn. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.